war between Russia and Ukraine has spiraled into an even more perilous phase, where holy sites once revered are now battlegrounds in a bitter struggle. In a shocking revelation, Apti Alaudinov, the commander of Chechnya's Akhmat forces, brought to light a disturbing strategy by Ukrainian troops. He claimed that for the past 4 years, his forces have been fighting what he calls the army of the Antichrist Dajjal. The revelation has raised alarms across the war's already fraught landscape. Ukrainian soldiers are allegedly using religious sites, temples, monasteries, and churches as military strongholds. Probably not for anyone a secret, but I will tell you that we have been fighting the army of the Antichrist Dajjal for 4 years. And all these 3 years we have observed how our enemies fought with clergymen, temples, monasteries, and how the Orthodox Church was persecuted throughout Ukraine. These same manifestations our enemies made on the territory of the Kursk region, the territory that was captured by our enemies for almost 8 months, and every day we observed how our enemies are trying to destroy everything that resembles God on earth. Alaudinov's account of desecrated sacred sites paints a grim picture. He described Ukrainian forces turning religious landmarks like the St. Nicholas Belogorovsky Monastery into fortresses, a location now entrenched in conflict. In this format, it would probably be appropriate to note today what is happening on the site of the St. Nicholas Belogorovsky Monastery. This is in the area of the settlement of Garnal. You know what's interesting? Our enemy, who settled on the territory of this monastery, completely dug into this territory. He dragged mortars there. Everything that could be dragged there, he dragged to the territory of this monastery. And from there is resistance to the Russian troops. All this period, our units tried to do everything so as not to harm this monastery. And the interesting actions of the enemy, which in this case it turns out is covered by temples, is covered by monasteries. And he is trying to strike our units from these temples and monasteries. The situation grew even darker when Alaudinov recounted the tragic fate of a Ukrainian soldier who attempted to surrender to Akhmat forces but was executed by his own comrades. And the fact that one of these soldiers of the Ukrainian armed forces still decided to surrender the distant garrison. He tried to negotiate with us, with our units. As soon as he went to these negotiations, he was immediately killed by his own. And our troops, our units, they are forced to work on this territory. What can be said? We will rebuild the temple. Everything that is connected with God on earth, we will rebuild everything. But the worst thing is still who we are fighting with, who opposes us. We can talk about the same temples throughout the territory of the Kursk region. Meanwhile, the situation on the broader front grows ever more tense as Ukrainian forces continue to breach ceasefire agreements by targeting Russian energy infrastructure. The Russian Ministry of Defense has reported 6 attacks on Russian power facilities, claiming these actions violate the ceasefire agreements set by the United States, which were supposed to protect energy infrastructure. As the war intensifies, Russian forces have made significant strides in several regions, inflicting heavy casualties on Ukrainian troops and destroying key military hardware. With the battlefield heating up, Russian forces are consolidating their hold over contested territories. As the war continues to ravage the region, one thing is clear: the stakes have never been higher. With both sides entrenched and no end in sight, the cost of this brutal conflict will only rise.